Okay, today's Thursday, August 16th, 2018, and we got the rear disc brake kit installed on the frame. It was pretty straightforward. Wasn't complicated. It was just kind of tricky. Basically, all you do is you pop the axle out. Since it doesn't use a backing plate, it calls for a spacer right there. And then you put your axles back in. You use 3 of the supplied bolts, and then you reuse 1 of the square bolts on the flange, axle flange. So you bolt that in with along with the primary bracket, the spacers right here, 3 of them. And then you bolt your caliper bracket, what they call the secondary bracket, to that. And then you bolt your caliper on. And the part that I ran into a problem was right there. I had to shim it. Well, it comes with that one black spacer, but I also had to use another little lock washer in order to push the caliper outboard so that it would fit, so the pads would fit over the rotor. So that was kind of tricky, but outside of that, it's pretty straightforward. We got both sides in. Got the trailing arms mocked up. Haven't worked the e-brake cables yet. We're going to do all that this weekend maybe. But we got both sides on. And I just rattle canned the pumpkin. Cleaned it up a little bit with wire wheel and just rattle canned it. I mean, it's under the car. I don't really care about it. Same thing on this side. Use the flange spacer, the primary bracket with these 3 spacers right here. Secondary bracket with your caliper bolts, 3/8 bolts. You're done. It's pretty straightforward. One of the positives of using this disc brake is I'm thinking it helps with the notorious Achilles heel of these X-frame cars, and that's the weakest link, which is the rear end, because these axles just kind of pop in. They don't use a C-clip like G-body or C10 trucks or other 10-bolt rear ends. There's no C-clip, so they just press in. And I've heard stories of axles walking out on cars, stuff like that. Me personally, I've never had that problem. I mean, it's not like I'm doing 90 down the highway, but that is a potential problem. And I think this disc brake kit kind of eliminates that. I wouldn't say eliminates the problem. It helps prevent it, because the caliper is bolted to that. That's bolted to the flange. That's going to keep the axle from coming out. Now, the problem still lies that it's a weak design, but I think it still prevents it. Helps out a little bit, so I feel good about that. But that's it. It's a stock rear end, stock width, and we got the 4-wheel disc done.